my clients, they do so much better on video and their videos perform better when I give them simple frameworks. So what's the framework?
No hustle, worship here, we're a different breed. Action is what we got if action is what you need. Content capitalists, we're breaking the mold. Cause the old ways fading, new stories to be told. So content capitalists, get to the prize.
This is the Content Capitalist Podcast, and my name is Ken Okazaki. There are as many ways to make money with content as there are people doing it. So listen in as my clients, past, present, and future, unpack how they crack the code to making $1 million a year or more while capitalizing on their content. Let's get started. Us entrepreneurs, we have these amazing big ideas. We've got all these ideas for how we're going to help people, how we're going to change the world, how we're going to help them make more money, get more results, and better themselves, their bodies, their health, their relationships, and all that. And it's this fluffy cloud, but the problem is when we explain it, our clients and our prospects have a hard time grasping it, right? They can't hold a cloud in their hand. So a framework is kind of like wrapping a balloon around it and tying it onto a string so that they have something to hold onto. I take your fluffy ideas and I put them into something tangible and simple that the clients can hold onto, that your prospects can hold onto. That's what frameworks are about. And I'm about to show you one of my favorites right now. This is going to be short. I call it the 3-in-3 framework. Frameworks are going to change your life. I absolutely promise it. If you're not already crushing it in short form video. Short form video is kind of like getting on the walk-a-lator at an airport. You know, you're walking along with your bags and then you got the moving sidewalk and it moves with you. You go faster. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those platforms are prioritizing that because that is the format that builds social media platforms bigger nowadays. Like TikTok became the #1 most visited site in the world above Google for a period of time because of short form video. So let's jump into it. I call this the 3-in-3 framework, and you'll see why it's called the 3-in-3 framework and also why we have these police lights and sirens flashing here. Very important. So everything in video comes down to 3 main acts. This is in plays, in stories. We have got act 1 where we have to build some tension and we have to hook the audience in, all right? Act number 2 is when we want to release that tension and or deliver value or dopamine. Now there's a lot of ways to do this, so I'm trying to generalize here. Act number 3 is when there's a resolution, right? And also setting up for what's next. Now let's look at this here. In this one, which is simple, I'm gonna just go through 3 stages. And I call it 3-in-3 for obvious reasons. Number 1, we're gonna tell them what to stop doing because you're the expert at something. So you have to come from a position of authority and tell people what they're doing that they think is correct, but is actually hurting them. We're gonna tell them what to do instead right after that. And then at the 3rd stage, we're gonna tell them 3 steps to get started. Step 1, step 2, step 3. By the way, we're gonna go through this together and I'm gonna give an example of some ways that you can actually do this. I'm gonna build this together. So please do click the link down below and that's gonna give you access to this PDF so that you can follow along and make this your own. All right, so here's why it works. Number 1, when we start, we want the hook to be contrarian. Contrarian means something that is against or goes opposite to what they would typically think. We want a contrarian hook. Number 2, we want to give them aha moments. Now, later on, I have another video coming out where I'm going to go live and share with you how to make aha moments really, really impactful. And that's super important, okay? Here's number 3. We need to give them how-to instructions step by step. And that's why it works because people, a lot of times they get general advice. And I've seen a lot of videos where people say, you know, here's the secret to getting, you know, all the success, you know, whether it's with money, with relationships, with health. And then they really build it up. And in the end, what they say is what you need is more motivation. Now, is it true? Yeah, probably it's true. However, that doesn't solve my problem. How do I switch on that motivation? If they say I need more skills, then that's probably 15 more months of studying and getting skills, which is okay. But how much more interesting is it when it says, hey, do these 3 things right now, and it's something I could grasp and understand and I could take action on, right? And here's the last one. We have a super simple structure. I have a lot of frameworks. Some of them are simpler than others. This is probably the simplest one. So if you're gonna grab one framework to take your fluffy ideas, put it into a balloon, tie a bow on it, tie a string on it so that your audience can hold on to it and they feel like they understand something, they could pull it around, they feel like they've got something in their hands, it's way more impactful. Let's go on to actually doing this. And by the way, check this out. I'm actually scripting stuff out for you guys. So you can literally rip this off and you could just change a couple words and it's yours. So here's an example. I would start by saying, hey, what you want to do, first of all, is you want to stop hiring video editors to make your life easier. Now, a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna make my life easier by hiring video editors. It's the opposite. I'm telling you why, okay? And then for your version, you're gonna say stop and then insert non-obvious thing, like contrarian, right? If you want to get desirable result. So if you're in fitness, stop eating fruit in order to lose weight. I don't know, a lot of people think fruit is healthier. It's probably healthier than a lot of other things, like ice cream, right? But there might be a reason. I'm just making this up. I'm not a nutritionist, right? If you're a lawyer, you're gonna say, stop hiring lawyers based on reviews. I'm not sure if that's true. Or if you're in accounting, right? Stop claiming taxes for these 4 categories. That could end you up in jail. Now that's a little bonus there. You could say, stop doing the commonly accepted truth in order to get the desirable result. And then you could say to avoid undesirable result. That's a little bonus thing you could add in there, but let's keep it simple. Stop doing this non-obvious thing, the thing that they think they should be doing, if you want to get X desirable result. So this is act 1. Remember, we have 3 acts, right? Act 1, 2, and 3. Stop doing this. Do this instead. So here's where you might want to get a little bit conversational. So I'm going to read this off real quick. So what are video editors great at? Well, they're basically the wizards of making video footage pop. But when it comes to playing mind games and getting into the audience's feels, most don't really have that playbook. Now, that's the director's gig. I've just introduced a new idea, by the way. So I'm introducing a new idea, the director. Like, oh, what's the director supposed to do? Now, that's the director's gig. So I kind of slow things down here. Imagine this. If there's no director, you're both kind of just sitting there like, aren't you going to steer the ship? And you're just spinning in circles, totally puzzled. So yeah, the director, total game changer. Act 2 is do this instead. So I introduced this idea that they need to have a director. Now people are just like, what's a director? How do I find a director, right? So that's stage 2. Stage 3 is really simple, okay? Now, here is the page where you can look at this, and let's follow along here. So here's the 3 steps I use to hire the directors that will save me both time and money. Step 1, boom. Step 2. And step 3. And then at the end, I don't say, hire a director right now for my team. I just say follow for more, because here's the thing. Your audience is smart. Your audience is smarter than a lot of people give credit for. When I say that, I've had so many conversations with clients where we have this mindset. When I say we, I also fall into this trap too, where we think that we need to set up this path that these mice, like kind of like corralling cats and mice through a maze and get them to find the cheese, and there's only one way and they're gonna make all the mistakes and stuff. It's not like that anymore. If people want to work with you and you create a strong enough desire for people to work with you, they will go to your bio, they'll Google your name, they will find you and figure out a way to work with you. And I know this for a fact because I've been putting out free content on social media with no call to action to work with me. Just things like check the link in the bio, join my group, download this free resources. Those are the only call to actions I do, or follow for more, right? And people have been jumping into my inbox and finding me, and they Google my name, they search me out. So let's just give some examples here. What are the steps, right? So in my case, I'd probably say, hey, step number 1, find somebody who's had experience doing copywriting. Because copywriting, by the way, is the art of taking words and making them interesting. And by the way, it's getting so much easier with AI these days. So find somebody who's actually done something that when you read it, you're like, wow, that's cool. I like it. It's interesting, right? Find someone who's had experience with copywriting, step 1. Step number 2, have them use a simple software like Descript. By the way, Descript is one of my favorite softwares right now. And step number 3, pay them to do 2 simple projects. And if you're happy with the results, then bring them on the team. Now, I could explain later how this is all structured, but I want to give just enough so people are just like, aha, that's what I'm supposed to do. And then once they're done or they start and they realize, hey, what I need is some help around this, then they'll come back and they'll have a conversation with you about how to get that started. But in case you're wondering about this whole concept, I'll make it real simple. Instead of having, we have you, right? And we have the editor. And this is a real thing, by the way. What usually happens is you say, hey, you vomit all this information and you shoot it on a video and say, hey, buddy, make this look amazing. And he's just like, got it. And he brings you back something and you feel like this is only 40% amazing. And you're like, geez, we need to fix a lot of stuff. So you do a bunch of work and then you get it back to him. And then he looks at this big list of changes. And then he does a bunch of work and he gets it back to you. And then you look at it and you say, well, now we're maybe at 60%, right? And this goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it's a mess. It's a mess. So what you want to do instead, by the way, and this is not actually what this session is about, but I just sensed as I put this down that a lot of people might be wondering, like, if I don't hire a video editor, what am I supposed to do? So you're going to hire a director, right? Before you shoot, you talk to your director and you say, how can I shoot the content so that it's absolutely amazing, right? They'll give you some tips and then you're going to take that back and then you're going to shoot the video or I recommend batching it, shoot 20 or 30 at a time, get it to the director, and he's gonna go through it, and then he's gonna make a checklist that he's gonna pass on to the editor saying, edit it like this. Editor gets it back to the director gets it back to you, and 9 out of 10 times you're gonna be 100% happy the first time around. And that director we also call the content curator in our world, because they take all your content and they curate it to make it super, super interesting. Let's review what this was again that we went through. Real quick, this is called the 3 in 3 framework. Simple enough to understand why it's called the 3 in 3. It's called the 3 in 3, obviously, because we have 3 stages, and then at the end, there's 3 steps. Okay? You want to start by saying, stop doing that. Tell people what to stop doing. Do this instead. Here's how. And you break it down to 3 steps. That's it. It's that simple. Go ahead, download this. It's a free gift. And this one tip is the easiest one to understand. I'm going to give 2 quick examples I'm going to make up off the top of my head. If you're struggling to lose weight, then stop taking advice from dietitians who are giving free information on social media. Instead, find somebody who's actually going to test your vitals and figure out where all the levels should be compared to a healthy person, and then give you specific foods to eat and not eat, plus the supplements, so that you can make a speedy dash to your target weight. Now, here's how you're gonna do that. Number 1, you're gonna wanna look for reviews. Reviews are so important when we're making a decision on who we're gonna work with and who we're not gonna work with, but you wanna be careful against spam reviews. So look for reviews not on these random sites, but from friends and family who've had great results. Number 2, you're gonna want to have a conversation with somebody on their team so that you can confirm that your specific problem is something that they can help with. And number 3, you're gonna wanna go in with your eyes open. What does it mean to have your eyes open? It means that you're gonna wanna pay attention to what they're saying, and also with what you know is common sense from what you've learned in your life so far that actually works with your body. So follow those 3 steps in order to start making progress toward losing weight and hitting your target goal. Follow for more tips like that. Now, that's a little bit clumsy because I just made that up, but if you just plan it out with 1 or 2 bullet points as you're going through, it's gonna make it super, super easy. So that's my hot tip for you today, the 3 in 3 framework. I will see you guys again real soon with more content just like this. That's it. Bye for now.
No hustle, worship here, we're a different breed. Action is what we got if action is what you need. Content capitalists, we're breaking the mold, cause the old ways fading, new stories to be told. So content capitalists, get to the prize.